Looking to replace your OEM diesel particulate filter or diesel oxidation catalyst? Look no further than DPF X-Fit, a complete line of aftermarket diesel particulate filters and diesel oxidation catalysts designed as an exact fit OEM replacement with all makes coverage for light, medium, and heavy-duty trucks. With thousands of units in stock, we ship the same or next day, and be sure to check out our comprehensive reverse OEM lookup tool. Always new, never remanufactured. For more information, be sure to visit dpfxfit.com. That's dpfxfit.com.
For more than a decade, FTI has strived to become the leader in the aftermarket performance transmission and converter industry. We've joined forces with McLeod Driveline Components under the leadership of Top Fuel Funny Car pilot Paul Lee, and now have a larger distribution network, more resources, and more power. Come see us in the pits and ask how you can join the FTI family. It's not cheating, it is the competitive edge.
The number one source of friction in your engine is not what you think. Piston rings rubbing against the cylinder walls generate more friction than any other part of the engine. More friction and temperature means more wear and less horsepower. Fortunately, the team at Total Seal knows how to reduce friction and wear through innovative piston ring design. If it takes a piston, Total Seal can build a better ring.
This is WFO Radio.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to WFO Radio. I'm Joe Castello, and we are getting ready for the Ford Performance NHRA Nationals, the penultimate race, the second to last race of the 2024 NHRA Mission Foods Drag Racing Series season. That's right. Championships are on the line, but also the portion of the season known as Vegas Pomona, the final Vegas National, and then the Vegas, regional divisional, and then on to Pomona for the final race of 2024. Can you believe it? No, you can't believe it. I can't believe it either. This year, it's like, it's soon, it's going to get started. Okay, it's over. Just one of those kind of quirks with the schedule here in 2024. But we're going to break it all down with the voice of the NHRA, Alan Reinhart, going to be joining us just a couple of minutes from now. He's out there at the House of Chaos, Maple Grove Raceway, for a little Division I action that was, moved to Maple Grove, along with their yearly event, the Dutch Classic they had. I think they had the quickest Hemi run in history. We're going to talk about all of that stuff. And Alan and I are also, no guests today. It's that period before the championship, right? Like, we're kind of going dark on the guests. We're going to let the racers just do their thing. But we're going to talk about the Lucas Oil Series championships and who's in contention and who's got claims and who's got a shot. Pretty wild stuff that we've got going on. Alan will be joining us in a minute. Your comments, of course, are welcomed, as are your shares and your reposts on your social media. Let's get this thing as big as is possible as we get ready to head out to Vegas. We've got the Summit ET, World Finals going on this weekend. That's going to be great. Going to have a little bit of fun with that as well. But before we go any further, you already heard from some of my sponsors. I want to tell you about the rest of them, at least give them a name check. And it's the kind of thing like this, guys. WFO Radio is the genuine mom and pop store. The little broadcaster that could, fighting against the mega corporations out there. And we bring you NHRA Drag Racing and Motorsports in our podcast on a weekly basis as best as we can. And we're always fighting against those giant megacorps. And we have sponsors, and you might not need one of them right now. You might not. But the day that you do, think about the people who make this show possible. Like Randy Neal and his balance machine company, CWT Industries. They're going to be at the PRI trade show. And I've been talking to engine builders all year long, telling you about how you're losing money if you've got an old school balance machine. It works slower. It's not as good. Your employees can't use it as easily. And chances are it's not as accurate. So it's a moneymaker to upgrade your balance machine. You can always reach out to me, of course, on Twitter, WFO Joe, or however you choose to get a hold of me. There's a million ways, including stopping me when you see me in person. But Randy Neal and CWT Industries, they've got a balancer for everything. Mega diesels. If it rotates, it can be balanced. So go to cwtindustries.com to find out more information. You already heard a little bit about the folks at Jesse Converters. They're in the news. We'll be talking about that with Alan momentarily. Way to go, Sean Reed. Very cool. The Jesse Top Fuel Dragster. Cat's out of the bag, baby. And Total Seal Piston Rings. 2 races to go. Hartford, kind of an interesting situation. He has got a long streak of having won at least one national event that is on the line. You might not be the world champ, but you want to keep that streak of winning a race every year going, don't you? Don't you? Of course, FTI Performance Transmissions and Torque Converters. But then, is it too soon to think about the Fan Fest at the Gator National? I don't think so. Bernie's Speed Shop, the official start to my 2025 season, will be at Bernie's and the big Fan Fest. And I know you're making plans to go to the Gator Nationals. Why don't you go online right now and check out Bernie's.com, follow their social media, and check out what they've got to offer, whether it be e-bikes, whether it be classic muscle cars, exotic cars. They've got it all. Josh Hart was, gave us an online tour pretty recently. He's got big news coming up. You're going to be shocked at the news that Josh Hart is going to be throwing out there in the coming weeks and months. But bottom line, check out Bernie's. They do frame-off restorations. They do paint and body work. They do it all. It's a superstore for your automotive needs. And they also sell muscle cars on consignment. Also, Foggit. This is something you need. Every household needs a can of Foggit. Foggit.com. Available at Summit. Available at Amazon. Gary Stinnett, Steve Williams getting together. It has taken over the world of drag racing. There is not a pit area that I go into that I don't see a can of Foggit for its intended purpose. But I have found a whole bunch of stuff to use it around the house as well. Now, it's designed for high-end cylinder finishes inside the hone of your engine block. But it works on so many other things. Valve springs and anything you want to protect from rust and corrosion. Go to Foggit.com. Later on in the show, we'll tell you about our great friends Marvin Rodak, Rodak'sCoffeeandGrills.com. We'll tell you about Samtech. We'll tell you about Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School and how to become a Patreon. The Patreons got themselves a great show just yesterday. But we're going to dive into championships, and we're going to dive into a whole bunch of stuff with this man, the voice of the NHRA. Alan Reinhart joins us now.
Hey, Joe, what's going on?
How about the leap of faith that I show, right? People don't need to know that Alan and I were struggling a little bit before the show to get connected, but I had total faith in you that you'd get it right before the show. We clicked start, and here he is. He nailed it. Good job.
Well, I ran out of patience with the computer and decided to just go old school and use the phone. So, I don't know what was going on with the computer, but for whatever reason, it just didn't seem to want to sync up. And so far, the phone's looking good. So,
yeah, hopefully your battery is charged and you look good and all of that stuff. Now, listen, before we go any further, I want to hear what happened out there at the House of Chaos, one of our favorite tracks, all of these things. We've got everybody is online. They're all saying hello and what's up. The California Hot Rod Reunion. This is a big weekend before Vegas Pomona. Everybody, any place that's getting cold, it might be their last weekend. So first off, why not you tell us what went down at the House of Chaos? How was the event? How was the crowd? How was the action? And did you, in fact, see the quickest Hemi run in history?
Well, I'm sworn to secrecy, so I'm not allowed to talk about that. 650 plus cars total, which was way more than they've ever had at the Dutch Classic before. This event historically has been the Dutch Classic, which is record runs. It's a national open. It's record runs for the sportsman. It's a Wally race. There's also an organization called the Northeast Index Racers Association, and they have a heads up 8 flat, 10 flat, and 1150. Real cars, stock suspension, that kind of stuff. No throttle stops, no electronics, nothing to just run heads up against the index. They have been a part of the Dutch Classic for a number of years, so they were there as well. And overall, the weather was good. It was a little chilly in the morning, so there were a couple of mornings that we didn't get to start as early as we would have wanted to. And, we had to kind of hustle to get it all finished before it got too cold at night. But, yeah, it was a tremendous event. Jackie Frick won the alcohol dragster title and then packed up and headed west. And, yes, the fastest Hemi run ever did happen. The quickest and fastest, actually, both national records were set. And it was interesting because, I thought so. I think everybody expected somebody to run a teen, right? Nobody's ever run in the teens on an official run in the Hemi cars. And the quickest run was the final run of class, the Hemi shootout, which, what a shock. Bucky against Steve Camella.
Wow.
Bucky goes 008 red and then went 8,200 Camelo rattled the tires and shut the thing off, but he won the thing coasting down the racetrack. And Camelo had set the top speed record. Bucky had then set the elapsed time record. But yeah, it was. There were only a couple of real Disneyland sessions for the Hemi cars for the times that they were on the racetrack, and they took advantage of it. It was kind of interesting. I got an email in my fan email, my announcer email, that was asking about why the Hemi cars run so much faster when they're running a shootout than they do normally. And Steve Camelo is the perfect example of that, because he has a super stock car that he runs in super stock, and then he has a completely different car that they use when they run the Hemi Challenge cars. And that class is getting so much like pro stock. I spoke to Jason Line, who was there, who was driving one of Bucky's cars. And he said, I don't have either the right rear or the right transmission ratios to run in these conditions. He said, we weren't expecting this to be this. And as you know, Joe, most of the casual fans may not. Probably most of the hardcores here do. But in pro stock, you change transmission, change rear gears basically every run, because you look at what the conditions are and then you adjust your gear ratios for the horsepower that you're going to have when you make the run. And if the temperature changes 10 degrees, you're going to change your transmission. If the humidity changes 3%, you're going to change your transmission. And as the conditions get better and better and better, you go kind of deeper and deeper and deeper into the gear ratio into things. And not everybody had exactly what they needed. So next year, or potentially Gainesville, or potentially down at No Problem Raceway, there's going to be a couple more events where they may have great weather conditions, and we'll see what happens. See if somebody sees the first team, but I didn't get to see the first team.
That's amazing. It's just amazing that those cars are doing what they do. And speaking with Jason before the U.S. Nationals, and speaking with Darren Morgan a little bit at the Engine Performance Expo, if only the fans could see inside the engine, right? Like what they're doing with the exterior remaining physically stock, but how things with inside the engine, as restricted by the rule book, are different than they were from the factory.
Yeah, there have definitely been some major changes made inside those things. One of them that I found out about it recently when I did the Hemi for the Nostalgia Funny car, plugging off the oil passages. It still boggles my mind that you would plug off the entire left side lifter galley and just go, oh no, there's plenty of oil splashing around in there to oil everything down. You can plug that off and force more oil to go down to the main bearings. For me, it's tough to wrap my brain around that, but they've been doing stuff like that for years. And the competitive Hemi cars have taken oil control to a whole new level, no doubt about it.
Oil control, right? Lake Speed tells us all the time on the Hidden Horsepower podcast, right? The right amount, the right time, the right kind, all of these things. They've taken it to the next level. So you mentioned Jackie Frick picking up a win. Wayne Morris, great job by Wayne. Earl Nichols beating his chest out there. And just talk us through the alcohol ranks. I do want to talk about the championship in funny car. It's easy because it's already been decided. Killer Bees. Yeah. Top Alcohol Dragster. Looks like there's quite a few racers that could potentially put themselves up into the middle of it. But let's start out with Jackie's win.
Well, we had a full field of alcohol dragsters and a stout field of alcohol dragsters. So it was kind of finicky conditions. Again, it was interesting. We had sessions where the cars ran very fast. And we had a couple of sessions where everybody was either shaking, rattling, the racetrack was a little bit cold, and, you just had to deal with what the conditions were. But at the end of the day, Jackie and John Fink, they take that thing all over the country. They run in all kinds of different conditions. And I think that gives them an advantage when conditions get to the point where some of the other guys are out of their comfort zone, that team can look at something in their book and go, okay, yeah, I remember what we did here. Let's do this, and it'll go ahead and work. The funny car field wasn't quite as stout. We only ended up with 2 of them in eliminations. There were 4 that came. Melinda Green King had a family emergency that they had to deal with. And DJ Cox had an issue in qualifying and didn't return for elimination. So the final and funny car was just 1 pair of cars. But, Morris showed up and he won it. So, the bottom line is, if I show up and I beat everybody that's on the racetrack, then I've done my part. You can't, I've always felt like, don't blame me if there was not a whole lot more funny cars there, because I showed up and I beat everybody that was there. So congratulations to Wayne.
Did you see that DJ Cox has announced he's selling his operation? And did you happen to get any insight into that? And, this is it. This is the chance for Joe and Alan Racing. You've been talking all these years. This is our opportunity.
I actually hadn't seen that. I had heard probably a year or a couple of years ago that they were considering, at one point, maybe, doing something different, maybe some, but no, I was not aware that the operation was for sale. But hey, you know what? I'm in. Joe, why don't you go ahead and buy it, and then we'll go racing.
I figured it would be like a partnership, as in the audience pays and we just reap the benefits.
Oh yeah, okay. The Patreon racing team, Patreons, we love you. Price is going to go up a little bit, but don't worry. It's for a good cause. So Joe and Alan can go racing.
Yeah, Parks is out there. Jim Parks, who's like part of the team. DJ Cox's car wasn't listed until Sunday afternoon. So Parks, what's the deal, bud? Come on, be our insider there. What's up with DJ? And he says he's not splitting it up. He's selling the whole operation. So somebody out there, and I'm working for DJ right now to sell this car. This is one of the fastest cars in the country. I don't know why they're selling it, but he says he wants to sell the whole shooting match. That is a car that can contend with the Bellemures, that can contend with the Gordons. It's maybe the fastest car on the East Coast. I don't know why, but that would be a car. If I was looking to get an alcohol funny car, I'd want to purchase.
Well, there's no question. They've got, all the top-notch parts and pieces and all the good stuff, all the latest stuff. And we've seen how well the car can run. And if they're selling it all, I'm assuming that's, truck, trailer, spares, extras, everything. And if that's the case, they've got everything you need. I mean, everything you need to drive to the racetrack, to unload, to get set up, golf cart, tools, spare parts, whatever you need. And yeah, it is absolutely a car that is capable of winning pretty much any race that they pull into. So, yeah, but like I said, bump the charge for the Patreons and Patreon Racing with Joe and Alan.
Yes, exactly.
I'm even giving you top billing, even though alphabetically I'm first. I'm giving you top billing.
Thank you very much, Alan, for that. I think it's very nice of you. Carl Miller wins comp. We got a big comp race this weekend as well. Just give us
actually the Carl Miller thing was crazy. The guy's been racing for half a century, literally. He is in the Division I Hall of Fame. That's the first time he had ever won a regional event, and I was stunned. I mean, been watching the car go up and down the racetrack for years. And when it was getting into the late rounds and, I started getting into my stats, and I punched up and I thought, well, that can't be right. And then looked again. No, that can't be right. That can't be right. And then I saw him at the end of the day and he said, no, he said, been close a couple of times. That's the first time he'd ever actually won. So that was a pretty special moment. It's always cool when somebody gets to win their first one. Yeah,
absolutely. All right. So let's turn our attention to a couple of news stories, and then we're going to go back into the Lucas Oil Series to see whose championship hopes are still alive. We'll do the Mission Food Series as well. And listeners, you guys are invited. Of course, we ask you to share the show. Look at this. Kenny Youngblood is calling me. It's like everyone's getting ready for Vegas, right? But if you have a question, a scenario, something like that, put it in the chat section. But this is something I thought was kind of interesting. Sean Reed and the Latino family getting together here, the Jesse Converters Top Fuel Dragster. And I'm telling you, that looks really good. Sean Reed. Like, that's a good looking car. We had Sean on the show earlier this year. He's a good guy. Everybody likes him. He's got a fast car. Rob Wendland's got that thing tuned up. He's been coming out on the short end of the stick in these very ultra close runs. He needs help, man. And great to see the Latino family and Jesse Converters stepping up with this sponsorship.
Yeah, I think that's terrific. I think it's going to be good for both of them. Obviously, Eric's looking for a little bit more exposure for his company, and Sean Reed certainly looked for some help. Sean said flat out that he was, felt like the way to go about chasing sponsorship dollars was to have a team in place, have it out there, show everybody, this is what I've got to offer. This is what my team can do. Don't you want to be a part of it? Instead of, like so many people do, you go in and go, hey, if only you would sponsor me, I could build something that would look like this. And so, it looks like the investment is starting to pay off for Sean. I think it's going to be a good relationship for both.
Absolutely. Super excited. Jim Essex is trying to take us off topic right now with how about those Dodgers? Yes, the World Series has not gone according to plan. But there is a great quote that says, it ain't over till it's over. And as a New York Yankee fan, I know that coming back from down 0-3 happened once. It wasn't good for us the last time. We got to win a game, man. How about that? We need to win a game. We need to score a run. We need to hit a ball. Last time I checked in baseball, it's pretty important to be able to hit the ball if you're going to score some things. But Jim is like, everybody, look, Monica, he's antagonizing. He's one of those fans. That's fine, Jim. We understand. I respectfully think the Dodgers are having a great series. And what do, right? Tip your cap, and you play hard to the very last out, and then you sort it all out at the end. It's not over till it's over. You got to win.
I'm just having fun with, Twitter GIFs for you and Galvin, who have, the West Coast Dodger guy.
The way I handle this period of Yankees World Series baseball is probably not the most fun for my friends, because I kind of go into a cone of silence and just, but your meme was
you wouldn't be in a cone of silence if you were up 3-0, and we all know that. If you were up 3-0, you'd be standing on the chair going da 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 da. Yeah, that would be.
That's not true. Actually, people who know me, and you know me, it's not true. I would wait until it was over to do any trash talk. Like I've experienced. I learned a valuable lesson, which I may share the story. This kid, he was like 10 years old at the time. Now he's like a 30-year-old man, and he remembers trash talking me in the barbershop. I guess I'll tell you the story. It's 1996. The Yankees lose the first 2 games to the Atlanta Braves at home, and I'm minding my own business. Got my Yankee cap on, gonna get a haircut, and I look over. There's this kid, punky kid, and he's doing this. He's giving me the tomahawk chop, and I'm like, what? And so then they call me, and I got to go up, and I was like, kid, you're gonna remember this years from now. This is gonna be a very valuable lesson to you to not talk trash before it's over. Now, when I said it, we were going on the road to Fulton County Stadium. We were down 0-2, and in the moment, it was just bravado, right? Like we always talk all the time. Are they going to the top? Yes, Alan, they're going to the top. Does it work out? Who knows? Well, I told this kid what's up, and sure enough, the Yankees win 4 straight, and I'm sure to this day, he has never talked trash before the game was over, ever again. And so that's where I'm living, and I learned my own lesson too. But
so you never ran across the kid again?
No, he was a random stranger that I got into an interaction with.
Well, I mean, I figure you guys both go to the same barbershop. Sooner or later, you might cross paths again.
Oh, no, I don't know. Never saw him again. Maybe he moved. He got out of the city.
But you're convinced that you changed his life, huh?
Yeah, his whole existence. He's probably got his kids of his own, and he's telling them that story. Son, there was that time that I said to that random stranger with a Yankee hat, and then if I was a Braves fan, I'd be mad at the kid too, because he kind of jinxed it for all of you guys. You never knew that, but it's true. We should go on a hunt to find the kid. Yeah.
Yeah, I think by now we should probably just let that go.
Trash talk only happens with me after the desired result has occurred, because I know how it works. It just, the racing gods or the sports gods or the God doesn't like when people talk trash before it's over. They got a way of teaching you a little lesson, whether it's karma, whatever you want to play. So just, keep it quiet until it's over, and then have all the fun you want. That's the way I kind of live. But we'll see. It ain't over till it's over, right? Monica, he learned to avoid that area. Right? Yeah, don't come to this barbershop, kid. All right, we're going to go class by class, starting with Top Fuel, and look at the point standings. Justin Ashley, 44 up on Antron Brown, 76 up on Sean. Sean press release today says they need a perfect final 2 races of the year. Steve Torrence, 88. Tony Schumacher, 105. We've talked about it in the past about beating one person versus having 3 go out first round. Justin Ashley's team, Randy Glady, bought this team, assembled this team for these final 2 races. Justin couldn't get down the stretch the way they were doing it before on a shoestring. Now he's told us they've been planning for these final 2 races all year, and now they're in the moment. But he's got Antron Brown, Langdon, and others on their heels. How do you see this championship shaping up?
Well, 61 points, I think, is magic. If you've got 61 points going into Sunday at Pomona, then you're in pretty good shape. Because, you control, technically, if you've got 1 point at that point, you can control your own destiny. But 1.5 points at Pomona, so you've got to have a little bit bigger cushion than you would normally have. But I think that, I think this week is huge. The one thing, don't lose first round. If any of those drivers that you just talked about lost first round, I'm not saying their chances are done, but I'm saying that's going to be difficult because it does 2 things. One, obviously, if you lose first round, you're not gaining any points, but it also empowers all of your rivals, right? I mean, look at and I'm sorry, Joe, I'm not rubbing salt. I'm really not. But look at what a big deal it was last night, because I think there were a lot of people that were thinking like I was, right? The Dodgers had a pretty good run at home. Now they're going to Yankee Stadium. The emotions are different. The electricity in the stadium is different. The feel is different. The crowd is on the wrong side. Everything about it, right? So what do you got to do? Go hit a home run in the first inning. Put a couple of runs on the board, and it changes the whole dynamic of the game. And I really believe that changed the whole dynamic of the game. So if you're Justin, if you're Sean, if you're Antron, if you lose first round in Vegas, then not only are you crippling your point chances, but you are empowering everybody else to like, now he's down, start kicking. And so that's going to be maybe the biggest round of the year for the drivers that are still alive or still think they're alive. I don't believe Sean has to be perfect the last two races in order to win the championship. But I think if he's within 60 when we go to Pomona and, working now, Brian Houston gets all the credit for that. He is the guy who makes the final decision, makes the last call. But he and Alan Johnson have been a part of a whole lot of magic moments in Pomona when they just get in there with a chance. So if Sean goes into Pomona, 60 or below, then I think he's dangerous.
Yeah, well, exactly. That Alan Johnson magic, but Brian Houston has been there for like most of that magic, right? He's been
absolutely.
So it could be Houston magic too. Exciting. And I'm feeling like this is what, I don't want to get into countdown versus no countdown, but this is what countdown does. This is the added value. It's guaranteed that we feel this intensity, that first round. One of those guys is going to lose first round and they're eliminated. Maybe not mathematically, but maybe mathematically eliminated from the championship. They get down to the top end, they get out of the car, they've smoked the tires, they've had a moment. And then there's Amanda. Your season is over. How do you feel? Give us that moment, that's wide world of sports, baby. That's it. The agony of defeat moments. And we're getting closer and closer to it. We've seen it all shaping up. Captain Lucky says, Joe, it's time to ditch the Yanks. How long have you been in Florida? My whole life, Captain Lucky. Go back. I refer you to last week's show. If you knew anything, you would know that the Yankees have a very serious connection to South Florida. Giant. So yeah, we are all Yankee fans here. And yeah, Stephen Frisky, he'll always be a Yankee fan. Listen, it's okay. I like talking about this stuff. Top Fuel. What a great year it has been just for qualifying in Top Fuel. The entry list stacked. So, you remember the U.S. Nationals. It's not even about losing first round. It's about you got to make the field.
How about Scott Palmer coming out to Vegas and Pomona?
Thank you very much, Roger Brogdon. Roger Brogdon, Roof Tech, jumping on board with Scott. Scott's one of the great guys out there. They were quick, just not quick enough at the couple of races, St. Louis and Dallas. But I love Palmer throwing himself into the mix a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. And, I think getting to make a couple of runs and getting into a rhythm is going to make them tougher because when you only run one of those things once every now and again, unless you're TJ Zizzo, it is difficult to do that at a successful level. Somehow TJ and Mike Kern and the guys have found some magic there. But I think that being out there on the road for a couple of weeks, they could certainly play spoiler to somebody. Yes.
No, definitely. And just the quality of cars. Will Smith going to be out there. Way to go, Will Smith. Love to see Will get a couple of laps in each year. And Spencer Massey going to be in Krista's car, it appears. So Travis Shoemake going to be out there and Scott Palmer. So very exciting what's going on in Funny Car. Someone in the chat section says about the countdown, it's imperative to keeping the interest and as best as we can, because in Funny Car, 147 up on Beck Force, Austin Prock, going to be the champ. But to me, I'm curious to see how they finish it off, Alan, right? Like, are they going to finish it off stumbling down the stretch to the tape? Or are they going to finish it off with authority and go out there and put a exclamation point on this incredible season?
Well, I think that Jimmy Prock, one thing that he desperately wants is the qualifying record. John set the record back in 96 for the number of number one qualifiers in a season. And I think that that's something that's definitely on their radar. And, I still don't see anybody really running with them. They've lost two rounds since Indy, and both times because there was an issue with the car. One, the throttle stop on the burnout had a problem, and two, when the throttle disconnected in Dallas. That's the only two times they've been beat to the finish line on Sunday. Those guys aren't going anywhere, and I agree with what you said. Call the engraver and tell them whose name to put on the trophy. But the rest of the guys fighting for a little pride, fighting to take home one more win on the year or to move a little further over on the stage. Bob Taska has already said that they're in R&D mode for next year. They figure we can't win the championship, so let's go see what we can learn here the last couple of races. I think Matt Haig and Dickie Venables would really like nothing better than to be the one who kicks the cherry off the top of the sundae for Prock the last couple of races if they can do it. So there's still a lot going on out there, and I think there's been some discussion, at least part of a group that I am, Rookie of the Year stuff going on, and there are a number of people that I'm sure have already voted. I haven't, because I'm still waiting to see if somebody wins a race. If Dan Wilkerson wins a race, that's gonna tilt my feelings a little bit towards where my Rookie of the Year ballot goes. If Richard Gadsden wins a race, that's going to lean me a little bit towards Richard Gadsden as far as the Rookie of the Year stuff goes. So I think there's still, there are still things out there that they're racing for. And, again, to go back to Wilkerson, I think, Justin Ashley has basically been the star of the Skag show this year, right? And not taking anything away from what those guys have done. They deserve everything they've done. But I really believe that Team Wilkerson would like to put one in the winner's circle this season to show, thank you to Randy and to all of the stuff for the support for getting behind that team, making the move. I think those guys have got a little bit more to race for than maybe even than just team pride. They've got a little something to prove out there, I think.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like, we talk about the drama of the championship, but it's not only the drama of the championship. And just to go back to Top Fuel, like you said, Tony Stewart, Rookie of the Year, get a race win, break through. You break through for a win. A season of struggle becomes a successful season just with one win, because you've broken through. You got the first win. And it is so true. You think about back in Funny Car, Ron Capps, winless. They've been so close. They're having a pretty good year. It's not a terrible year by any means. Fourth in the points, 180 out, but they made a whole bunch of final rounds, but they haven't broken through. You got to get a win. When was the last time Capps had a whole season without a win? I don't have that stat available, but those are the things that everybody is fighting for. Daniel Wilkerson last year, he and Chad Green getting that win. Look how it changed the dynamic of their, how they're perceived from guys that are out here racing and maybe someday to, no, man, winners. They did it. Yep. So 2 more chances.
Yeah. And, we'll watch it play out. But, Prock has absolutely got the dominant car. Somebody's going to have to slow him down. And if you get him out of the way, if for whatever reason that they end up being around late in the day, then there's a whole lot of guys out there that really want to take advantage of that.
Absolutely. Moving over to Pro Stock. I mentioned Hartford before. They tested before Dallas. And I just thought, because he's got like a 7-year streak with 1 win, and those streaks can be important to people. I'm sure there's someone out there that's like, I don't care, I've done this every year for the past however many years, but it doesn't happen, no big deal.
Ask Kyle Busch.
Yeah. And so they are fighting for a race win. I don't think anything matters other than getting a race win. By the way, weather conditions this weekend, I'll be bringing a jacket. Lows of like 42, 43, something like that. Highs 68 with the wind whipping on the top end. I remember Jason Galvin was an icicle last year, shivering like with his tongue stuck on the flagpole. It was that challenging last year. So we're going to have some decent performance, just hopefully not too cold at times. But same true with many pro stock racers trying to break through, trying to end strong. But the championship, Dallas, Aaron, Greg, Erica, and Erica has been special in Vegas. If she can't get the win in Vegas, then the season is it's not an Erica season.
That's definitely been a magical place for her, no doubt. And I can also tell you that she is sick and tired of people asking, when are you going to win the 50th? So if she could get that done and just get it off the table, I think that she'd be thrilled with that, the milestone, obviously, and the points that come with it. I still really believe that Dallas and Aaron are the 2 legit contenders for the championship. If Greg or Erica can get it done, then they're not completely out of the woods. But I just really feel like either Dallas or Aaron will be the one standing at the end of the deal, unless one of them shoots themselves in the foot.
I was thinking they're doing this thought experiment for the Patreons. By the way, we did a Hear It from Heiner episode, kind of wrapping up the whole season, hoping to see those guys in Vegas. Now, it is unsure at this point. They had some truck and trailer problems, et cetera, and so on. But if Dallas and Aaron go to the semifinals and lose, right, which is kind of what we've seen, like those two have been semifinal consistent throughout. There is still the opportunity for Greg or Erica to make up a lot of ground because of the points and a half. So you win the semis, you win the final, that's 60 points at Pomona. You win the semis, you win the final in Vegas, that's 40 points. So there's 100 points plus, even if your competitor gets to the semifinals in those final two races. So that means if you're Erica, those qualifying points are very important. And it's not over yet. You lose by 1,000 in each of the semifinals, suddenly you're outside of the championship, or it could be at risk. To me, what I'm trying to say is it's going to be wildly exciting, even though Aaron and Dallas have been pretty dominant this year.
Well, I agree with what you say on qualifying points because, like I said, the Top Fuel is exactly the same in Pro Stock. 61 points going into Sunday in Pomona, and you're in pretty good shape. But you want to have that 61, and the difference between 61 and 59, it could be a championship. So those little points are going to be very, very important, even more so now. And with it being cool in Vegas, that is going to affect the Pro Stock cars more than anybody else out there because Vegas is a little bit of an altitude track. And so having a little bit cooler conditions out there, and I'm sure it'll be desert dry like it always is, then you get a little bit closer to your sea level horsepower numbers, and you can use all that power you've been digging up on the dyno.
Yeah, this is it. Down to the wire, Pro Stock, super exciting. Pro Stock motorcycle, 2-horse race, and that 61 points. Well, Gage has got 62 on Matt Smith. Matt Smith needs to make a move. I don't know if it's the ladder game. I don't know what it is, but expecting the competition to take Gage out early is probably not reliable. And I expect Matt Smith to do something, make a move.
Well, he's got to do something. Yeah, as you said. And part of it might be, maybe he does go out there and play the ladder game, or maybe he goes out there and plays the ladder game with Andrew's bike, because that bike certainly, they've been able to step the performance up of that thing from time to time when they need it. So you got teammates. Why not see if you can rely on them? Because if you're Matt and you're playing the ladder game, then that 62 points could very well end up being, 75 or 80, 78, maybe by the end of the weekend. And then when you go to Pomona, if you're not successful what you're doing here, if you go to Pomona, then you've in essence given him a round. So I'm not sure if you're Matt that you can give up those qualifying points to go try to play the ladder game, because if it doesn't work, then you're going to just be digging yourself a much, much deeper hole.
Right. Exactly. And I'm looking at the entry list here, see how many bikes we got. Hoping for a full field or close to it so that there's no buy run on the deal. And, that's been kind of a problem. I hope the bikes can get their participation back up, because I just don't like seeing that first round buy or second round buy 3 points during a championship. That is kind of tough. But we'll see. Pro Modified also championship. And I got the email or something about like they have their road to the championship. This is the final race, and only 2 racers have been eliminated. Like, that's the funny thing. In Congruity HR Pro Modified, presented by Learn EV Plus, there's only been 2 racers mathematically eliminated. That's the kind of year it's going to be. In the World Championship for Pro Modified, we're going to have ourselves, we'll be counting all those points and just watching. And you recall what happened last year with Chris Thorne putting it on the roof and Castellano getting the win. Yep. He didn't even realize it. That is always interesting.
Yeah, those cars, when they come out here, are very interesting because, again, Vegas is a little bit of an altitude track, and the weather's going to be better, so it might not be quite as much. But there's a number of those teams that don't spend any time at altitude tracks, basically throughout the course of the year, and certainly not places as dry as it normally is in Vegas. So getting the tune-up right for the magic out there, and the dry, thin air changes the downforce characteristics as well. So all of those little things. The notebook is your friend, and not a whole lot of those Pro Mod guys have got a big, thick notebook when you're dealing with conditions like we're going to have in Vegas. And I think that's just one more variable that throws in.
Yeah, Parks is like weather feels like 800 DA when it's 3,800 DA. Exactly. Mike wants to know about the Fan Fest. The Fan Fest in Vegas. It's the best Fan Fest on the tour, except it's not happening this year. Not happening because it's Halloween on Thursday, and we couldn't get the spot down there on Fremont Street because it's a zoo on Halloween night, and so no Fan Fest.
Yeah, but if you really want some Thursday night entertainment, go to Fremont Street. Go to Fremont Street Thursday night because, as Joe said, it's Halloween. And I actually have done this a couple of times when Halloween has fallen in between the two races. If it's, a weeknight, if it's off, I'll just go get a room down at Four Queens or one of the places down there on Fremont because I don't want to have to be driving. I don't want to have to be out and about. I don't want to have to be looking for an Uber or anything like that. And just go hang out on Fremont, walk up and down, and try to figure out who is decked out for Halloween and who is just wearing their normal Thursday outfit.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people down there on Fremont Street that's like, whoa, look at that costume. And you go, yeah, he was wearing that last Thursday too. So I find that just wildly entertaining.
If you like people watching, and I do as well, Vegas is one of the best places in the world. Okay, Steve wants to buy your Mustang. He goes, do you want to sell that Mustang on the lift, Alan? I know you've had it since you were 17, but I would like to get it out of your garage and enjoy it for you. Looks like it's been up there for a while. I don't know if this is a compliment or an insult. Alan, what do you say? He's saying you're not using your car enough is what he's saying.
Make me an offer.
There it is. Make an offer. Steve, how about that? How about that? Now it's back in your court. I love that.
I will tell you that it's not for sale. However, I have also learned over the many years that I've been around and done some wheeling and dealing and trading and that you never say no until you've heard the offer. I mean, that car's not for sale. But if, say, Jason Johnson called me and said, hey, I'll give you $10 million for that, I go, let me show you how the clutch works.
Yeah.
So make me an offer.
Make him an offer, Steve.
I did appreciate the guy one time when I was, and this has been a few years ago, I was driving it and I pulled up in front of a Circle K and, always park it over so somebody's not going to door ding the thing. And I'm going in to get my thirst buster, and guy's standing out in front of the store. He goes, man, nice car. And I said, yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. And he goes, want to sell it? And I said, well, not particularly, but if you want to make me an offer, I'll listen. And he goes, how about 5,000? I said, I paid the guy that painted it about 3 times that. You want to take another swing? And he's like, well, what do you want for it? And I said, no, you ask first. Make me an offer. And I do the same thing, with all those idiots that call and go, hey, we'd like to buy your house. Make me an offer. Well, let me get some information. No, you called, you want to buy my house. Give me a number. Because, if your number is $10, it's not for sale. But, if I promise you this, if I walk up to somebody and go, wow, that's a nice car, would you be interested in selling it? I've got a number in mind. Now, it might not be the number the guy wants, but I've got one in mind. So, if you want to make me an offer, make me an offer.
Right. And Steve says it's never an insult. I was just kidding, Steve. Looks great. I had one since I was 15, so I know how you feel. How nice. But he is also disappointed.
Well, I actually, because, it was in paint prison for a couple of years after the tire incident. And I am thrilled with how it looks now. I mean, when I got it back, when Danny painted the thing, 1996, so it's been that long ago. And when I got it back from him, I would just would sit and stare at it because I loved how well it looked, how great it looked. And then all those years later, when I had to have it painted again, and again, Danny did just a spectacular job on the thing. I'm not dissing him at all. But after 25 years of being used to looking at it, when it comes home from the paint shop the second time, and it was Max's Center Attractions on Stone Avenue in Tucson, Arizona, when it came back literally across the street, his shop is right there. I mean, when I went to pick the car up, I walked over to get it. When he got it, because it was here, and I was out of town, and when he called me and said, I'll bring your car over, I said, I'm out of town, go get it. So he walked over to get it. But I drove it back over and sat it out there in the parking lot in the sun and just went. So nice. I'm thrilled with it. I'm very grateful to have it back. And I'm looking forward to spending some quality time with it during the winter break because the car does not have air conditioning. So it is not a very summer-friendly car. And when I take it out, I want it to look good. And so a number of times during the course of the racing season, if I'm only going to be home for a day or two, Getting it down is not a problem at all. I mean, this one runs, and I can fire up the Barracuda and back it out. I mean, I can have the thing on the ground and out the door in 10 minutes. But cleaning it up and getting it ready to go, and if I'm just going to do that and then take it for a short drive in the evening because it's too hot to drive in the afternoon, and but that's the time when it kind of just gets put away for the summer. But it'll definitely be seeing a little activity during the winter break.
I am happy to say that I got my tour of Tucson, Arizona in that car, like a nice little, check out the neon signs. And we went around the neighborhood, and it was good stuff. There was definitely no video of the thing, which is, a bit of a bummer, but it's a wild ride, man. Like he says all the time, it's not it's loud and obnoxious, but in the best possible way.
Yep.
Very, very cool. Very cool. And we did
loud and obnoxious.
For everybody, use if your tires are old with low mileage, you must still replace them. That was the thing that triggered the whole deal. Old tires that looked brand new, but were not, and they blew out on Allen, and it caused this whole cascading effect here years later. Right?
Yep. A blowout's not a problem. It's when they come apart. That's a problem. When the tread comes off and starts doing this, and that was
whipping around.
Lesson learned.
Well, for all of us, this is what WFO is all about. Like we learning from each other's lessons. And totally old tires, replace. All right, top alcohol dragster. Did I see there's like 26 top alcohol dragsters on the entry list for Vegas? Are you kidding me? And looking at the point standings in top alcohol, it's still wide open. Like Jackie Frick has got a shot. Sean Cowie's got claims left. Matt Cummings, claims left. Good opportunity. But the car he normally drives, the McPhillips family car, went like bahaing through the desert down there at what's Firebird Motorsports Park.
Firebird.
There's so much going on top alcohol dragster. How do you see this class at this moment?
Ask me Sunday afternoon. I think I'll have a much clearer picture. No, I think, like you said, qualifying is going to be the number one. I don't believe anybody is going in there, whether it's the McPhillips family, whether it's Randy, whether it's, anybody, whether it's Sean. I don't think anybody's going in there thinking to themselves, okay, here's what I got to do on Sunday. Everybody's going in there going, we better get this thing down to racetrack Friday and get it locked in the field. And then we'll start worrying about Sunday, because the possibility of packing up and going home early is pretty real. Joey Severance at one point was just unbeatable in Las Vegas. They sure would like to find some of that magic. It has been a long, trying year and a half for Team Severance. And, Sean Cowie has certainly had his ups and downs. He has had a really, really fast car at times. And he's also given some away that he probably should have won throughout the course of the season. So they need to get that thing going back on track. As I mentioned, Jackie was out at Maple Grove this past weekend, and as soon as they lost, they stuck that thing in the trailer. As soon as they won, got their pictures taken, they stuck that thing in the trailer and headed west. I know that the McPhillips team, and I don't know who else was, but I know because I got a note from Rich, they've been doing some testing. They were down at Firebird taking advantage of the high desert to try to get their tune-up right before they moved up to Las Vegas. And the Firebird Regional did not run to completion. So that's something else that's going to take place during qualifying. And that even might have a little bit of effect on the points. So the points might change on Saturday before we ever get into Sunday once the Phoenix event gets completed.
Wow. So still, this is the Vegas, Pomona, down to the wire, alcohol dragster, as exciting as it gets. And yeah, I counted on the entry list. I saw 26 names. That's, to me, practically unprecedented. Pretty amazing. The class is that healthy. We need more funny cars, but my goodness, you've got a lot of championship interest in top alcohol dragster, and it's going to be great. Want to mention Mountain Motor Pro Stock, Johnny Placino, Bo Butner. Johnny can clinch it if Bo DNQs. I don't think that's going to happen. Randy Lynn became the first Mountain Motor Pro Stock car in history to run in the threes. It was PDRA, but I want to shout out to Randy Lynn because they had been chasing that milestone, 15 years. That has been going on for a long time. They've been knocking on the door, running 400 something. And finally, it was at a PDRA race at Richmond, but Randy Lynn is the first to run in the threes at any sanction.
A Pro Stock record set at Richmond. Who saw that coming?
Right.
Oh, wait, everybody. The facility down there is amazing. And when the weather's right, that place is just magical. And I think it's funny because I have to tell you, I will freely admit that I do not follow Mountain Motor Pro Stock as closely as I follow some of the other categories, simply because I've been following some of the others for so many years. I didn't realize it had never been done. Between all of the stuff that you see that runs 8th mile regularly, whether it is the regular Pro Mod stuff, whether it's Pro Boost, whether it's Pro Nitrous, whether it's, the Radial versus the World, whether it's, all of these cars that have run in the threes, I didn't realize that a naturally aspirated Mountain Motor Pro Stock car had never done it. So when I saw that news, that first thing I thought was, wow, really? And the second thing I thought was, well, hey, congratulations, Randy Lynn. I think that's awesome. That's a great feather in her cap.
Yeah, it really is. It's one of those resume material, like winning the 50th Gator Nationals kind of deals. Like only one person can do it, and Randy Lynn has got it now. And I think it was John Montecalvo was 4000 and missed it right in front of Randy Lynn. Then she goes 399. And it is what it is, right? Those mountain motor guys. Kazi said a couple of years ago, now that NHRA is running, everybody is going to work on their stuff. And that's what happened. So if Bo DNQs, then Placino becomes the champ, but Bo's not going to DNQ. So it comes down to eliminations. But Johnny Placino, who has had great success in PDRA, is in the catbird seat for winning the championship. He and his dad, like regular hardworking guys, got Chip Lofton and Strut Masters on board, helping him all these years. So we'll see how it turns out. But Mountain Motor Pro Stock and also Factory X championships will end and will conclude in Vegas.
Yeah, and I think, for those classes, I really think that concluding in Vegas is a good idea for exactly the same reason that moving the Summit ET National Championship to Vegas a few years ago was a good idea. Because when we get to Pomona, the bright spotlight is going to be on the mission food classes. And some of the other stuff kind of gets lost in the shuffle. If you go out there in Pomona, you win the Mountain Motor deal, but, the top fuel final is going to be what last year's was. Right, to go, hey, you won the championship. And everybody go, okay, yeah, so what? Come on, let's see who wins this deal. And so being in Vegas, where they get a chance to have the spotlight and have the coverage and be the championship stars of the show, so to speak, I think that's a great thing for all of those different categories. And it's going to be fun. It gives us a whole lot more stuff to talk about on Saturday and Sunday.
Speaking of that Summit ET Finals deal, you and I are doing something on Thursday. We don't want to let the cat out of the bag, but there's going to be some surprises for the people that run Summit ET Series. And that's really what I view myself as a racer, like going and racing points, Miami Hollywood Speedway, Moroso Motorsports Park, showing up, getting the tech points, going out there, even if it looks like rain, hand in the tech card, something's wrong with a car, borrow a car, stay in the points to make the ET Finals team, go to Gainesville, race as a team. The national championship didn't exist way back when I was doing it. Now that it exists and the division winners go out to Vegas and they compete against each other to become the national world champion, however you want to say it, it's amazing. But over the past couple of years, NHRA fighting this weird thing that many ET racers have, that it's like, that's not us. Ron Capps and Antron Brown and John Force, that's not what we're doing there. That's different. NHRA really going out of their way to make the ET racers hopefully feel like, no, you are as much a part of this as Ron Capps and Antron Brown, this NHRA thing we do. And if you don't feel it at the ET Finals, then there's a problem. I think they're going to be very surprised at some of the stuff that is lined up.
Well, and it's certainly no secret because we've done it for a number of years, but the racers that reached this plateau, you get to the level to come out here, they will be part of pre-race ceremonies. They will be introduced to the race fans in pre-race, just like we do with the mission drivers every year. They will be paraded down the return road before they go into they will be part of the NHRA on Fox television package, part of the Lucas Oil coverage. They will be a part of the Parade of Champions, coming down whoever wins in front of the crowd to talk to Joe down on the stage, just like everybody else does. We've got the little banquet thing going, and I think we can spill some of the news here. But for a number of years now, for the longest time, there were 7 racers in the division in the event because we have 7 divisions. So every division sent their champion. And then you had buy run in round number 1 for somebody. It was always just a luck of the draw, blind draw thing, but you would have a buy run. And the feeling that, if you're going to have a national championship, probably should figure out a way to eliminate the buy run. So what they did a few years ago was bring in the wild cards where, and Loans and I have done the drawing for the last few years, which division will send the wild card for which category, so that now you've got 8 drivers in Super Pro, you've got 8 drivers in Pro, you've got 8 drivers in the EV category, and there's no free rides along the way. And it's always been, that extra wild card thing. Well, what's going to happen now is that we're doing away with the wild card thing starting next year. Joe is going to race in one of the categories because he's got Project Pontiac ready to go. I am going to race in one of the categories. I'm going to have my Barracuda ready to go. We'll find something for Loans to drive. He's probably an EV guy. We can make that work for Loans. But anyway, the wild card will no longer be somebody that comes from wherever and earns their way in. The wild card is going to be one of the announcers. And God help you guys if the announcer team wins all of the categories, because that's the only thing you're going to hear about until the end of time.
I love this idea. The announcer team, right? Like
that's a joke, by the way, before everybody starts calling their division director going, what? It's a joke.
I think it's great. Like, think of the extra spotlight it will bring. Like, we are automatic inserts into the ET National Finals, and we get a chance to race against the best of the best, and prove how hard it is for these guys. They get a chance
Galvin drives a dragster. He could be the Super Pro guy.
Yeah,
you could be the pro guy.
I love it.
Right.
I love it.
I'll be the heavy guy. I could be the motorcycle guy. I got a couple of scooters here, but whatever. And Loans would be a natural EV guy.
He is the EV guy. No, without a doubt. Loans, look, here's the thing about Brian Loans. Like, he's very honest. We started the show talking about, trash talk and whatnot. Brian Loans will be the first to tell you that he is the worst bracket racer that ever lived. He'll tell you that. Like, I would never say that because Brian will go out and go 00 and dead on and it, who knows why, but he'll tell you that. So I think he should definitely insert into the EV category. I think it would be tremendous. We could get Logan out there, get some hand action going. Why not? And again, this is all a joke, everybody. Some of the show is not totally serious. Competition eliminator. Ryan Warder sits atop of the points. Cody Lane, Monty Bogan, Robert Bailey, Roger Brogdon, like, everybody's within just a couple of points. And so Brogdon is throwing out extra money, big challenge race. Chris Monahan going to be in the house calling it this weekend. Brogdon has done so much with this extra money in Comp Eliminator, and the Comp Eliminator championship is still up for grabs.
Yep. A lot going on down there. And Vegas being an altitude track, again, that's just one more wrench that gets thrown into the works, because most of the time, Comp Eliminator guys will come to Vegas, and everybody comes to Vegas. And it's kind of like, when you go to Denver and you realize everybody's going to be a little bit slow. But I'm genuinely curious as to how many Comp Eliminator guys are going to be coming in here with a specific transmission or with a specific rear ratio, or if they're going to be looking around to try to find just the right set of tires to try to maximize their performance with a little bit less power in Vegas. And with Roger putting up the extra money, that's certainly plenty of incentive to go out and go out and buy a new transmission or go out and buy a new set of rear gears to try to maximize your performance in Vegas. But it sure is going to be fun to watch.
Yes, exactly. And it's like, who's got claims and who can travel, all of that in super stock. Let's see. Am I still on Comp Eliminator? No, yeah, I am still on Comp Eliminator. Let's go to super stock. Brian Warner, the points leader by 1 point. Jeff Dona, Logan Bellinger. These guys got some claims left, but it's tight. Jimmy Hidalgo getting mentioned in the sports report on front page of NHRA.com right now. And he was featured. I don't know if you saw it, Alan, but Randy Lynn it was Randy Lynn's idea. She's like, hey man, Joe Sorensen and Jimmy Hidalgo going to run for the stock eliminator points lead. But Jimmy is in both. This guy's got a chance to double stock and super stock in world championship points.
Yeah. Warner actually took that 1 point lead day before yesterday. With his finish in Reading, he put himself in front. And when he was up in the tower at the end of the day, everybody comes up for the payout and that kind of stuff. And he said, I took the point lead. And I said, really? I said, you planning to go to California? And he kind of snickered and he said, no. He said, I got zero chance of holding on to it. He said, I'm claimed out. I got the division. I'm good. I'm happy. And I said, well, what do you think? And he goes, well, there's 4 or 5 guys. He goes, but I got to tell you, he said, Cooter probably has the best opportunity. He's got claims left, got himself a fast car if he ends up into a heads-up war or something like that. Of course, he was a national champion a couple of years ago in stock eliminator. But there are, and I don't know how many people are planning to travel to Vegas, but I don't believe it will be decided this weekend, because I think that there's a few of those guys that still have a regional claim as well. So we may know before we get to Pomona, but I don't think it's going to be locked down this weekend. I think it's going to be next.
And for those that don't understand, it's hard to, in real time, tell you who is the favorite because people get claims, and you get a max of what, 8 and 6 divisional and national, your best 5 of 8, your best 3 of 6. And so you'll be replacing the worst possible of those top 3, and you'd have to go into each person's. This person's replacing a second round loss. This person's replacing a first round loss, et cetera, and so on. But Jimmy Hidalgo is in good position. He's got a points lead in stock eliminator as well over Joe Sorensen. It's 20 points, and that 20 points came on the round that we featured on the starting line at the Texas Motorplex. And that was pretty cool. I know we had like an error on one of the graphics or something, and so people were like, "This sucks, Joe." But I felt like the content was pretty good.
Well, I really like when, the racers get to go head to head and figure some of that stuff out, because, Jimmy Hidalgo's in Louisiana. Sorensen is in Oregon. Those guys aren't going to be on the same racetrack very often. So the fact that they were both in Dallas is great. But when you get into a stock eliminator field, there's still no guarantee you're going to race each other. And the fact that they did get to race each other, I think, again, is great, because there have been so many times over the years where, hey, Joe won the championship and Alan finished second, but we never raced each other. We were never on the same racetrack. We never had a chance. And, there's a reason that we do regional points, right? Because not everybody's going to travel to every race like the professionals do. I completely get it. But I really do love when guys race each other. And I'm trying to remember who it was now, but there was a championship, I want to say super stock, that came down a couple of years ago. The first tiebreaker, if we have a tie, right? If Joe and Alan have exactly the same amount of points, the first tiebreaker is heads up competition. So if we had raced each other at any point, then, whoever won 2 out of 3 or whatever the record was, that was going to be the difference. Well, the two guys had raced each other one time. They'd raced each other in Vegas, and it came down to a margin of victory of 2/10,000ths of a second. And that was the national championship. So that's one of those just cool moments, because the guys raced each other, that really did play into the national championship. And the fact that Joe and Jimmy did race each other down there, great. I hope they do it again in Vegas. And then I hope they do it again the next week in Vegas. I love when the contenders go head to head.
Absolutely. And everybody out there, if you didn't see the piece, it's on NHRA's YouTube and X account and Facebook. I would encourage you to go watch it and share it, because I felt like it got insufficient shares for the quality of content that was out there. Randy Lynn, you got your world championship, you're featuring stock eliminator. So many people say, "Oh, you guys don't cover the Lucas Oil Series enough." There we go. We do this thing, and it got like 20 shares or something. Insufficient as far as I'm concerned. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm the bad guy, I guess. But it should have been shared way more for the quality of racing that's going on out there in stock eliminator. My goodness. Super comp. Ray Miller sits atop the points, 591, had a great year, appears to be claimed out. Colby Fuller, Steve Williams, they're connected in a way, and they both have claims to go for Vegas, Pomona, and then Jeff Kondratik. How about Jeff? He's in the middle of the championship hump. He's got opportunities, and he's right in the middle of it. That would be cool. Jeff Kondratik, for those that don't know, has worked on the Midway in the NHRA for, a long time. He is a drag racing lifer. His business is drag racing. His hobby is drag racing. His family's in drag racing. That would be so cool to see Jeff Kondratik get up there. But Steve Williams, Colby as well. These final 3 races going to make the difference.
Yeah. Excuse me. And Steve Williams has, Vegas has been pretty good at Steve Williams over the years. I mean, not like it's been good to Erica over the years, but he spends a lot of time out there, and Vegas has a couple of things. We've been talking about the altitude, or I've been talking about the altitude the whole time, that affects the cars a little bit differently. The wind at Vegas also is a little bit different. The way the massive grandstand is on the one side, and depending on the direction of the wind and depending on the time of the day, the wind is something that can throw guys for a curveball. So having the extra runs at Las Vegas, to be familiar with that, could be pretty advantageous.
Yeah, it's we will see, right? And it's not done yet. Super comp. In Super Gas, Keith Mayer sits atop of the points. Jeremy DeMars is tied with him. Both have 591, both have 5 and 8 as far as claims go. Jeremy Mason with 588 right behind Jim Perry. It's about he's claimed out. Let's see. Keith Mayers could go west. He was looking for someone. He's not going to tow all the way out there, is what he said. It's a long tow. Where does he live? In like New Hampshire or something.
Yeah.
He was looking for someone to offer him a car to take advantage of his last claim. I don't know what ended up happening with that, But right now they're tied at the top of the points. Luke Bagacki in the mix as well, sitting back there in 5th, but he's got claims remaining. By the way, Alan, he's in 5th, 10 points back, right? So I don't know.
Yeah.
Just based on that, watch out for Cool Hand Luke.
Yeah, and even at glance on NHRA.com, because yes, you have your best 3 of your 6 nationals and your best 5 of your 8 regionals, but you are allowed to waive. You have to do it before you go into the racetrack. But if you go in there, right, hey, we just replaced the transmission, we're not sure what it's going to do. You can go in before the beginning of the event and tell them, I don't want this one to count. And even if you win the event, you get no points for it. So just because it shows that somebody has been to 8 regionals doesn't necessarily mean that they don't still have one to claim. And that's just leads to part of the confusion. That's why, for me anyway, I'm always very, very grateful for Mike Rice and Rick Green, because when we get to the divisional after the Vegas National, between those two, they sit down literally and try to work up all the scenarios. And okay, this guy's got to do this guy's got to do that. This is what's going to make the difference. And because it's a big deal, the racers obviously know. But if there's 4 racers in every category that are still alive for a championship, each one of them knows what they got to do. But for us to keep track of 30 guys in all the different classes is not an easy thing to do. And I hate when somebody goes out there and it's like locks a championship, and I can't try to make that moment more special for them over the microphone because I simply didn't have the math. And that's why, again, thank you, Rick Green. Thank you, Mike Rice, because for the last few years, it's been very, very rare that I didn't understand exactly how big this run was to try to make it more special for the racers.
Absolutely. And that, Vegas, Pomona, a lot of this stuff is happening at the divisional in Vegas, the final divisional, where these things are working themselves out just because of the, where it is on the schedule, and to make the moment huge. Now, I don't like to publicly complain about anything, Alan, that I don't do that, but it would be a great benefit to the racers and the fans to somehow have a website or a means to see it more clearly. Now, I don't know. Maybe some things are inherently complicated. Some things are just complex. Maybe there's no way to do it more easily, but it is challenging. Like, you really gotta want to know the points. Being a casual observer of Lucas Oil points is rare. You got to really be all in.
Well, if you're telling me to build a website, then you should know. You should know better than that before you even started that conversation.
Good point. Dylan Howe, Cody Weber, Mark Graham, tops in points in top dragster. Dylan Howe with the lead, but it looks like Cody Weber and Mark Graham could jump up in there because Dylan has run so many more events. He's been on tour pretty much. Yeah,
and Cody Weber is a Vegas guy. He lives actually in Arizona, but he's just on the other side of the Arizona-Nevada border. Vegas is his home racetrack. So again, if there's an advantage to being a Vegas guy, the Weber family spends a lot of time there. Now, having said that, Dylan has also run a lot of races in Vegas over the years because his dad always comes down with the alcohol funny car and runs those. So I don't think he's going to be at a disadvantage being in Vegas. And because Dylan's coach is a Vegas guy, if it comes down to that, then maybe you'll lean a little bit towards Dylan. But if you remember, wasn't the last time the Weber family was here, they had like 4 cars in the final round or some ridiculous thing, because they run Top Dragster, they run Super Comp, they've got a number of different family members and a number of different cars all running out there. So it'll be fun. I hope they go head to head. That's simple as that. I hope they go head to head. I want to see them race each other.
Yeah, and this is, not necessarily for the national. This is for the divisional. But what we're doing is just giving you the points lay of the land with just a couple of races to go. And Alan Firestone is the leader in top sportsman over David Cook. And Alan's got a national remaining. David's got a regional remaining. So Bill Yates, a senior, he's right in the middle of it as well. So there's multiple drivers in contention in top sportsman as well.
And it'll be a matter of seeing how many people decide to make the trip. Yates is out of Ohio, so he certainly has the means to do it, whether or not, the time and the schedule. Firestone is out of Oklahoma, and I'll be stunned if he's not there, because if you're the guy that's in the driver's seat, you certainly got to go, right? And Firestone also has an elite connection. So if he wins, that will be just one more championship trophy, or at least one more championship that goes into the engine building side of elite motorsports out there in Oklahoma. Those Oklahoma guys all stick together.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. And there you go. There is your look inside the championship points scenarios in the Lucas Oil Series and Top Sportsman and Top Dragster and Comp Eliminator and the Top Alcohol ranks, of course, in the Mission Food Series ranks here on WFO Radio. I suggest you share. It's a good conversation, and you can build upon it on social media, on YouTube, in the comment section as well. Who do you think is going to win whichever category? And put us onto it so we can watch your favorite driver. Alan, any final thoughts as we get ready to get out of here and head to Vegas?
No, I'm just getting ready to go. Did some laundry this morning, got everything taken care of after I got back yesterday from Pennsylvania. So I've got a couple of things to dash around here. And then, when I leave town, I don't come back until after the banquet's over out in California. So it's going to be fun. If you're in the neighborhood, come out and see us. If you're going to Vegas for the SEMA show, hang around for a couple of days and come watch us. SEMA's in the middle of the week, in between the two events. So come watch us. And by the way, if you're going to the SEMA show, stop by the NHRA breakfast. I promise you will not be disappointed with the lineup of guests that Brian has for the kickoff breakfast at SEMA.
Yeah, no, that's a huge part of SEMA. The NHRA is definitely forward facing at the SEMA show. SEMA is amazing. I'll be there for day one before heading back here. But amazing job, Alan. Great job and excellent work on the prediction with John Force. It was like, are they off the air? Yeah, they're off the air. Okay, release the video. And we see John Force to the camera for the first time, and he says he's going to be out. He's going to be at the track. He can't wait to see everybody. That was amazing, and it was like right as we put up a clip on YouTube of us like talking about if John were to come to the track, how great would it be? And next thing you know, there's the video from John Force Racing that John is going to try to come to the track. And he looked great. Like, I don't know, that maybe should have been the first thing we talked about. I feel weird I want to downplay it because it's like, I'm just so happy inside that John Force is still with us. And man, he looks great. The guy is amazing.
I'm actually surprised that you didn't lead off with that. I think it might have something to do with your Yankee depression that you've got going on right now. But if anybody ever needed proof, right? Does John Force watch WFO? Well, yes, because as soon as he heard us talking about doing this, he said, "All right, that's it. We got to put the word out. Ashley, get in here with a video camera so we can make this happen." And I think he did that after watching the show. I don't think there's any question about that. Yeah,
I agree with you. That sounds right to me. It sounds right. WFO Universe, give us a like and a share. You're welcome. Super excited. No, listen, John. There's nothing like John Force. I think we all agree, and it's going to be hard to not go up and give him a big hug. But give him space, people. Give him space. Fight the urge. Give him space. Alan, great job. I'll see you 2 days from now.
Travel safe. I'm headed out there tomorrow morning, so I'll see you in Vegas.
Sounds good. Vegas, baby. Vegas. There he goes. The voice of the NHRA, Alan Reinhart, joins us each week right here on WFO Radio, making amazing predictions and talking about championships and people want to buy his Mustang and all of these things. It has been amazing. All right, guys, final comments in the comment section because we're going to get out of here today. It's going to be rather rapid, but I do appreciate you. Look, this guy was one of the 20 people who shared the stock eliminator piece. It is a bit of a mystery, right? Like everybody says they love the cars. And if there's anything wrong with a Fox show, they're always talking, wish we saw more stock eliminator and saw the real cars. And then we create what I thought to be, not because of me, of course, definitely in spite of me, in spite of my existence, in spite of what I say, in spite of all of those things, Randy Lynn and the racers put on an amazing moment, a heck of a show, a race down the stretch for the points lead in the world championship. And so they put it up on social as we're trying to publicize the Lucas Oil Series racers and an unlimited audience, literally could be millions and millions and millions of people, depending if every racer, every drag racer, if they share it on their social media. Wow, this is cool. And I'm looking at the numbers and I'm like, man, I don't know. I just feel like there should have been a better response. So I'm chiding the audience. That's what the talk show guys do. You chide the audience. Say it's not too late. Go share it. Darn it. All right, let's see what happens. Final comments in the comment section. I see some comments I'll be excited to talk about. Again, shout out to Jesse Converters on board with Sean Reed. Way to go, guys. That is pretty amazing. And very excited to see Sean getting some support at this point in the season. Pretty amazing. There's a new Hear It from Heiner episode, the final one of the year, at least of the racing season up there. Michael Heiner talks about their season. It was a season of struggle, but there were some good moments and bad moments. If you're a Patreon, you have access to the Pro Stock Show that is Hear It from Heiner. And, his opinions on the championship, his opinions on all of these things with a genuine insider. It's going to be interesting. PowerTube TV is going to be at the SEMA show and also at the PRI show. And we'll be popping in and out of the booth as well. If you have not downloaded the PowerTube TV app, you should. It's available on Roku and Apple and Samsung, and it's all kinds of car shows. Pastime and Clay's stuff is up there. All kinds of good stuff. PowerTube TV. You can find WFO Radio there as well. And we really appreciate those guys. WFO merch is on sale. Whether you want Morris Motorsports swag, you want to get a mug or some stickers, WFO Fire t-shirts, all that. And I only really heavily promote it when it's discounted because you can get a $22 t-shirt for $16. And everybody, I've asked them, what about the quality? What do you think about this? It has been a very positive feedback experience. They ship it right out. If you're in Australia, it comes from Australia. You can get it. They use local creators to make the gear. And, it's hoodie season coming. So get yourself some WFO swag while it's discounted. And also that helps the show. Yeah, we do make a couple of bucks. It's like $2 a shirt, something like that. The folks at Foggett on board. Make plans to swing by the Foggett booth at the PRI trade show. Why? The Project Pontiac engine that we have been working on. I'm getting pictures sent to me all the time. I have decided to not share those on the show because it just kind of seems half-baked. I want people to be wowed by seeing this engine in the booth at PRI. And also there will be YouTube videos featuring the build and the discussion that happened. The folks at Foggett on board with WFO, go to foggit.com, summitacingequipment.com, amazon.com, get yourself a can or cans of Foggett for your racing equipment to protect it, to keep it safe. Marvin Rodak, this is a big holiday deal. I've been talking about the holidays for a long time because I know the peace of mind that I get knowing that I'm going to get my coffee on for the holidays. And that the people that are closest to me are going to get a pound of coffee and a bottle of hot sauce and a container of spice rub from Marvin Rodak. And it's just such a high quality coffee that you're going to get. 817-924-6821. I highly recommend you order like 5 pounds to your house and do it yourself. But 817-924-6821, RodaxCoffeeandGrills.com. Yes, if you'd like to become a Patreon of the show. And all this is me stalling. So you put your comments in the comments section, guys. What you think about what's going on. If there's a topic that we missed, if there's anything going on out there. Obviously, the California Hot Rod Reunion. Jason Galvin and Brian Loans. Those guys had that covered so well. Bobby Cottrell wins the championship. Jeff Arend wins Funny Car, by the way. Really fun. Tyler Hilton winning in Top Fuel. In memory of Allison Lee. All kinds of great stuff. We talked a lot about it. Jeff Kreider gave us a full report on our Ignition podcast as well. And that's part of the benefit for the Patreons. There is more content, but some of it is walled off for the Patreons. They get to participate. They get to share their opinions. They get Monday Motivation. And if you sign up for a year, you get a free t-shirt in addition to decals and patches and all kinds of good stuff. Check them out. Patreon.com/WFO Radio. Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School. Well, to be associated with one of the best drivers ever is one thing. If you're going to get your license, if you're going to get your top alcohol license, they've been running the alcohol funny car a lot lately. But to me, the Dragster Adventure is the best thing they got going because you get a half-day experience with Frank. You make 3 runs down the track. You get an education as to what's going on with these cars, but you make literally zero physical investment. You show up with the clothes on your back. They provide everything. And it's fun. It's a low commitment deal. Whereas, getting your license is much higher commitment. Maybe you'll want to do that. So give it as a gift for the holidays. FrankHawley.com, the Dragster Adventure. We always mention our friends at samtech.edu, the School of Automotive Machinists and Technology. Start your education at full speed. These guys, they're educating the next gen of machinists. Very, very important. Plus our friends at Bernie Speed Shop, HusseyPerformance.net, David Allen and the team, not just Copperhead gaskets anymore. It's all sourced. It's made in Beaver Falls, Pennsylvania. I'm sure they were out there at the Dutch this past weekend. You give them a call, 724-318-8292. They're doing other gaskets. They're doing oil pan gaskets and valve cover gaskets and header gaskets, in addition to the copperhead gaskets that made them famous. Our friends at CWT Industries, our friends at Torque Calibration Services of Australia, FTI Performance and Total Seal, and Jesse Converters, now on board with Sean Reed's Top Fuel Dragster. These are the people that make it possible. Without our sponsors. And it's been really amazing this year. I've had people reach out to try to get in on WFO for 2025. As you know, we have limited availability. I can't tell you about 100 different sponsors, although sometimes it might seem that way. Let's see what everyone has got to say. Keith Kaufman wants the Christmas tree. Keith, no. You're not getting the Christmas tree. I got that tree as a young man. I was like 8, how old was I in 1992 when I was 20, I was 19. No, I restored that thing with my own hands. It's a working, functioning practice tree, which I need. Nobody's getting the tree. Okay. Unless I want to use the Reinhart system, which is make an offer on the tree. Does somebody want the original starting line tree from Miami Hollywood Speedway? The one that's in all those commercials, the one that's in the Bill Grumpy Jenkins, Don Garlett's Mellow Yellow commercial. That's the tree, guys. That is a historic tree. Make me an offer, Keith. Make me an offer. It is a one-of-a-kind collectible. There is nothing in the drag racing universe like that tree, especially if you have any connection to the city of Miami and Miami. Monica, farewell to Irwindale Speedway. Yeah, I saw someone post that in the chat. Monica, I'm putting your comment up there because, you're a patron and I appreciate you. But just bummer, man. Bummer. Like, I don't want to get into the bummer stuff. I don't want to get into the bummer stuff. That's sad. Losing a track. There's all politics and all stuff all around. I don't know. Jeremy says, check your Facebook direct message show. I got an idea for a quick show before. There's not going to be a quick show before Vegas. No. And the reason is because I travel tomorrow, just like Reinhart. I'm flying out mid-afternoon, get to Vegas. So this is the show for the week. That's why we did all the Lucas Oil categories, and we're getting heavy and all of that stuff. Got some more attention for this countdown. So highlights on some of the drivers will definitely let me know, and we'll try to work it into our NHRA coverage. We're going to be out there on Thursday chasing down attention in the pits cars. In Vegas and Pomona, I'm looking for attention in the pits cars. You guys are tasked with letting me know which cars that we haven't already done you think deserve a feature on attention in the pits. And we did one today, 37 Chevy. We did it at Indy. Go check that one out. When you're going there and using the guilt that I put on you to share the Randy Lynn bit, also share attention in the pits. Look, there's a long history of talk show hosts chiding their audience to do things they want them to do. It's all in fun. Ha, 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 ha. But that thing should have had hundreds of shares. Every licensed Lucas Oil Series racer should have said, this is something I want to see more of. Share. Wouldn't you love to see more of this? Share. And they did not. And I have my theories why. I think it has a lot to do with, well, it's not a feature on me. It's got to be a feature on every individual. We got to feature every driver. And then they'll share it. We're trying to accomplish something here, folks. You got to help us, please. Let's see. Keith is planning on buying more WFO swag. That's cool. Austin, Justin, Greg, and Matt will win the championship. Wow. Greg and Matt. Those are 2 long shot picks. That would be pretty wild if it were to happen. Good to catch a live show. As always, thanks, Joe, says Richard Kirk. Thank you, Richard. Thank you. A lot of effort goes into this. See you guys on Saturday. Essex. Yeah. Monica, great preview show today. Safe travels. Go Yankees. Yes. Go Team Force. Got any updates on Project Pontiac? Okay, so Project Pontiac is going to be in the booth at PRI, the Foggett booth. So everybody, please make plans to swing by the Foggett booth and check out Project Pontiac. That's number 1. Number 2, I couldn't be happier with the appearance of Project Pontiac. The appearance of this engine. Gary Stinnett Automotive, Jason, who works there, these guys have fully embraced what's going on here. Like, it's a tribute to obsessive compulsive disorder. It's amazing. And if we can hit our 750 horsepower target, I will be super excited. The Super Street engine. A lot of work on the chassis that has to happen. A lot of parts have got to get ordered. I'm trying to decide, do I order from Summit? Do I order from Jegs? What do I do? There's other companies. Do I order directly? I'm trying to make those decisions as we speak, but we're in a race against time. February's coming up fast and there's so much to do. I'm going to do a celebration of life for my father in early January. We're going to do it at a car show here in South Florida. It's going to be great. We're working out the plans for that as well. And so much going on, but we're going to try to make it. But to me, the chance to go see Project Pontiac in person at PRI, and, maybe someone will take a photograph with it. Like, how cool will that be? And just everybody who has been on board, from like Straub Technologies and Edelbrock and Philadelphia Racing Products, the Schonbergers helping us out now, and just so many people that are diehard drag racers offering some expertise, offering a little insight. John Gadosh, the CNC, the CNC porting for our Edelbrock heads, right? Edelbrock provided heads, and John Gadosh had already done a lot of R&D on a port job. So we ran them through the CNC. Thank you, John Gadosh. Like so many things. Jessel. They designed Jessel for the Edelbrock heads, and Wayne helping out. And it's just been amazing. It has been an amazing experience. FTI with the Power Glide. It's been amazing. And we got to get this thing on track. I feel like I'm going to let a lot of people down. No pressure, right? Let's see. Look at Ron Merkel. I have one of the original bulbs from that tree. Exactly. And look how Ron Merkel is coveting his light bulb. As you should. Is Will Smith running for Dixon at Pomona? I saw Will Smith on this week's entry list. So I don't know about Will, but I think Will is going to be in there, and I don't know which car he's in. Is it for Dixon? Is he using Todd Payton car? I don't know. I gonna have to do a little more dive into that. Will, holla. I love Halloween weekend. Let's see how many cars dress up and teams dress up. Haven't heard anything about Halloween. Randy Lynn is normally the queen of Halloween, and Bo Butner is going to be there running for a championship in Mountain Motor. Are they going to do anything? Normally, I will have had a conversation about this topic, except I have not at this point. So we'll see. Blake, God willing, I'll be seeing you this weekend. Hope to see you too, Blake. Hope to see you too. Come on out. You being happy brings me great joy, and I can't wait to see it on the track. And who's going to be doing the in the pits with your car? Bruno, maybe. Henry, thank you very much. I do not expect any of that. My job is to focus on others. That's why you know me. That's why I'm in this industry. That's why it's for me to bring attention to others. That's how I get attention, right? Is by being a vessel so that people can learn about the stars of drag racing, the people who aren't stars, the hardworking people behind the scenes, which we will be doing something very cool with the Summit ET Series people this weekend. And that's my skill set. I have zero expectations of anything other than being able to do that in the future. That's what I hope. $1 million billion. I will pay you tomorrow. And thank you for the tree is yours. Like Reinhart said, except it doesn't even have to be $1 million billion. I'd sell it for something, it would be a big number. It'd be a big number because there's one of one. That's the original Miami Hollywood Speedway tree, Klondike tree that was cut down from 5 bulbs to 3 bulbs. It's all wired to run with my Biondo practice tree. So amazing. You have all these amazing people in your corner to help get your car done. Henry, I know. Honestly, it's amazing. And I'm appreciative. And I just want to make sure that I do right by them, which is, kind of the whole thing, right? You build these relationships, but building a relationship and forming a relationship is one thing. Maintaining a relationship and making sure people are happy and they feel good about what they've done and good about everything, and everything is, working well for everybody involved, and our sport continues to grow. And I go out there and I race and I try, and they like what Bo did for me, giving me the opportunity to drive his car, and Jimmy Stahl allowing me to get my top dragster license. My friend Lee Neal letting me race his super street car last year. So like when I'm staging up with Project Pontiac, it's not going to be like relearning how to race from 20 years ago. The rust should be off. I should be able to go out there and mix it up, get the car right and mix it up. Too modest, your car needs to be shared. Well, if I won't say no, Henry. I won't say no. At least you're a darn good vessel. I love using the word vessel, right? That's it. Vessel. That's how WFO started. Remember, I worked on NASCAR radio for a while. We just had NASCAR here in South Florida, Homestead Miami Speedway. 3 races to go in that NASCAR series. As a drag racer in South Florida, I got a job at NASCAR radio in Washington, D.C. And while there, I talked every single day about NASCAR. And I thought, and I got paid real well for it too. It was a tremendous job. And I thought, man, as great as this is, the drag racers are much more interesting. It just is. Like maybe it's just more interesting to me, but it is more interesting. The drag racers. There's such great variety of people and personalities. There needs to be something like NASCAR radio for drag racing. And in 2009, we started it, and it was WFO Radio, and we were the only ones. And now, thank goodness, you've got all these other shows, and, you've got Wes Buck, and he's talking about the stuff that he's into, all the different niches in drag racing. You got Brian Loans, the NHRA Insider, you got the Lights of Drag guys, you got Monday Morning Racer, you got all these people that are talking drag racing and showcasing the people and personalities that participate in the sport of drag racing. It's a dream come true. And we get down to these final couple races of the year. We're going to go out. We're going to enjoy these races together. The final 2 races, final 3 if you do the Vegas Pomona. And hopefully keep in sight what matters most, which is, the people in your family and the people that care about you and the people you care about, and being a good person. It's going to be wild. Vegas. It's going to be wild. I'm feeling the nerves on behalf of other people. I'm feeling it. But that's the thing about these guys. The really good ones, they're not feeling the nerves. And they can put it on the back burner. All right, guys, I'll see you in Vegas. Thank you all so much. Please share those things. Share the show. My shirt. WFO Vegas, baby. Thanks, Alan.
Like this show? Want more? Then head to WatchPTTV.com, the new 100% free PowerTube TV streaming network. Home of the best classic and new motorsports racing and build shows on the web.